And another pantry box. This one almost blends in with the table, like it's camouflage. This is a 19th century bentwood, kind of early American pantry box. It's just a simple construction with metal nails. Great kind of patina, still in really good condition. I can open this. Clean inside. No maker's mark, no signature, lots of wear. And patina. Nails have some good age to them. And this one here, I think I had up for $170. I think it's one of the nicest ones I have currently up. I do a lot of pantry boxes. In my area, I'm in Massachusetts, a lot of old farm-style auctions, and I come across these fairly regularly. And depending on the night, I can usually get them for between $5 and $30. If they have a maker's mark, they go for a bit more. And then I usually can flip them online for pretty good amounts of money. And this takes a little while, but this one here I had up for, I think it was $170, and I sold it for $130. This is a woman's Guess watch. It's pretty nice quality. It's in very clean condition. It's a chronograph watch, I think. It's got multiple dials going on there. And this I got at the UMass Amherst Police surplus kind of auction one night. My local auction house auctions stuff off for the local universities, and when stuff is found on campus it gets turned in, and then if nobody claims it, it goes off to auction, usually after about a year or so. And they just bundled a bunch of watches together, and I bought that watch lot. They're all really nice watches, all in working condition, very clean. Basically lost by students, never claimed. And I think I paid about $25, $30 for that lot. I had about 5 or 6 watches in there, and I think this may be the last one I sold. This one here I put up for $80, and I took a best offer of $50 on it. This is a vintage green and gold glass kind of art bead double strand necklace. It's got a single clasp. It's supposed to be done like that. You got 2 strands of beads. Pretty nice detail in this piece. Not super cheap looking. So I put this up for a fair price. I think it was around $35. It's been up for a little while. And I took a best offer of $20. And this just came in one of the jewelry lots that I purchased. So I'm out in the barn this morning shipping my orders from the weekend. It's probably the coldest day of the year so far. It was a low of about 0 degrees overnight. The barn is freezing and everything in it is freezing. This is my Windex cleaner. I had the heat on now, so it's starting to melt, but it was frozen. I didn't know Windex froze. News to me. But probably be working in the house after I ship these things. It's just not very warm out here. Even with the heat on, it really doesn't get much above 45 degrees in this kind of weather, so best to be in the house. Anyhow, these sold. These are some kind of mid-century modern frosted glass tumblers. They're wrapped up, so I can't really show you them, but I'll show you the listing. These are from the New York World Fair, 1964, and there's 2 different designs. They're pretty neat. I really like these. I come across them all the time at auctions. I don't buy them all the time because they don't sell very quickly, but I like to have some in stock. And these ones here I sold for $32.95 for the set of 4. And I got these at an auction. I think I got about 18 of them. It was the largest set I've ever seen. But they were all the same design, I think, or one of 2 different designs. So there wasn't much variation there. I think there's 6 to 8 different styles of these. And I think I paid about $20 for them all. I only had 1 set of them up so far. They've been up for a while. As I said, slow seller, but they're kind of neat. I like them. This is a vintage pin. It is for the Vintage International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 98. So very specific pin for a very specific person, and that person finally found it online and bought it for $12.95. Came in on a lot of just random pins and buttons and what's not. As if you've been watching my videos, you know I kind of like that stuff and list quite a bit of it. It's really easy. Take 2 to 3 photos, describe it, put it up, inventory it. Easy to list, easy to ship. And yeah, they're just regular sellers. Not going to make you rich, but just fun stuff to kind of fill in the gaps. This is a Kenwood power supply for a ham radio. It's the Kenwood PS430 DC power supply. I'm no expert in this stuff, but I saw at an auction this past summer a table full of CB or ham radio equipment, and I know it tends to have a pretty good resale value. There was a decent transceiver there, which I did a little research on and figured out it was worth quite a bit. So I think I paid about $200 for that table. It was full of, it had one radio, a handful of power supplies. I've already sold the other one, and some other random stuff, some sort of amplifier for an antenna and some odds and ends. And it's been a really good lot, sold very well, and I think I paid about $200 for it. This piece here sold, this is my last piece I believe from that auction, and this here sold for $159, and it's going to Canada via the global shipping program. On the table with that ham radio equipment were also a bunch of books which came with that whole auction. It was the whole table they were auctioning off. And there was a bunch of books on ham radio stuff. I've sold a few of those. And there was also a bunch of books on astronomy. And this is a 3-book series. And normally I'd send this stuff up to Amazon, but there really wasn't any money in it. And now Amazon is charging long-term storage fees on even 1-unit stuff. So book selling on Amazon long tail is no longer a viable business model. So listed these up on eBay for $19 for the whole set, plus media mail shipping of $6. Not a huge sale, but it's just kind of the detritus from that table lot auction, so it's just a little icing on the cake, basically. Another Canon thing sold from that camera auction. That was about a year ago now that I went to that auction, and it's done really well for me. I'm probably down to maybe 20 or so items. I'd say I sold about 95% of the stuff from that auction. This is just a eyepiece for an older SLR for the Canon Elan. Original price in the store was $45. This auction I bought a couple of tables. I think I spent about $100 or so on those 2 tables. It was all mostly new in the box kind of stuff like this. A lot of ink cartridges, a lot of camera equipment. I've been selling that regularly for the last year or so. And this piece here, this is just kind of the leftovers. This is sold for $15. This is a matched pair of Civil War era cutlery. It's a 3-tine fork and a butter knife, I guess, or might be sharp. It's got, looks like a wooden handle on these. They're in good condition apart from the rust. They could be cleaned up. People buy these to collect them. They also buy them for Civil War reenactment. You find them pretty often around at flea markets and sometimes in thrift stores, in the silverware drawers, in the kind of random boxes of knives and forks that they sometimes have. Not a ton of money in these. This here sold for $18. I got them in a large kitchen lot that I bought, and there was a lot of Revolutionary War forks and knives in there, and I sold those for good money. And these were just kind of leftovers. I think I spent maybe $5 to $10 on that lot. And more kitchenware, but this is from somewhat different era. These are more modern, of course. These are just some professional chef's hand utensils. There's like a peeler and a baller and, you know, I don't really know what half of these things are. These came in a chef's knife box that I bought at a walk-around auction for $5. It was a Johnson & Wales University chef's box. Had 2 or 3 nice knives in it and a knife sharpener. I've sold a couple of the knives, the sharpener, and now these have sold. $5 was paid for that lot, and these here sold for $20. I've sold quite a few pantry boxes over the holiday season. And this one here is just a nice small 6-inch bentwood pantry box. It's got a little bit of damage, but it still looks great. It's got a kind of a lacquer veneer finish, relatively clean. This probably dates to the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. And I tend to get these at auction around my area. They're a common New England piece. Get them for very little. I think I got 3 or 4 of these for maybe $15. And this one here I had it for $110, and I took a best offer of $85. This is an ornate 19th century match holder, probably Victorian era. It's got nice ironwork. It's meant to be hung on a wall. It's got a little hanger here, and it's a match holder, so you put your matches in there. Usually you'd put it by your fireplace. And I can't quite remember exactly which lot this came in, but I'm having trouble remembering things now. I have so many different lots and so many auctions I go to, and I buy so many different things. I need a better system. But this here, I probably came in a lot. I paid no more than $5 or $10 for, and I had to put this up for $50 or best offer, and I took a best offer of $30 on it. This is a small sterling silver olive fork. It's got a nice pattern to it, 2 tines. It's by Miles, Norway. It's a Telebrodrin pattern. I looked it up. And I buy sterling at auction from time to time, just random lots of sterling or whole dinner place settings. And early last year, silver was pretty cheap, so I did buy a lot of it. And I just list the pieces individually. And it tends to sell. It's a slow, kind of long tail seller, but you really can't go wrong with silver. It always has kind of an intrinsic value, as long as you're not paying too much for it. This piece here sold for $28.95. This is another silver spoon which sold. I've been selling quite a few pieces of silver lately. This one here has a really nice pattern. I don't know if it'll focus. It's got a real antique look to it. I really like this spoon a lot. It's by R. Wallace & Son, and it's just a regular meal spoon, I guess. And it's got a few dents in the bowl here. It's not in perfect shape, so I couldn't really sell it for too much, and I put this up for $21.95, and it sold. This is a pair of mid-century modern Dutch kind of turned wood candlesticks. These are the real deal. They have the original labels right there, where they say made in Denmark. And they're in pretty good shape. I found these at a church tag sale this summer, and I paid, it was either $1 or $2 for 2 of these. They're one of those things that are easy to overlook, and I was really excited to come across these. I put them up for $89.95, and they sold. They're being shipped off to Israel. This is a set of 7 Wedgwood. They're by Susie Cooper, as the designer. You can see there. These are pretty popular in England. I got these at an auction down the street from my house, which is kind of a junky auction. Usually stuff is pretty beat up and chipped, but these were actually in really nice condition. Very rare for this place. I think I paid maybe $10 or $8. They're always really super cheap there. It might have even been less. I cannot remember, but they're pretty cool. Each one has a different color and different fruit. There's 7 of these and 12 of the saucers. And I have them all in a box here. This is kind of how I stored them to keep them from getting banged up, but I do have to pack them, and not going to be much fun doing that. Anyhow, I had these up for $129. Had a lot of people from the UK asking if I would send them just one color or one set. I didn't really want to break it up, so I took a best offer of $75, and these are staying in the United States, going off to Cincinnati.